Okay, it's 12:03. I guess we should start. Some people might come in eventually, so they'll just join us when they log in. So let's formally start. Hello and welcome, everyone. My name is Maricus, the Business Development Advisor at the Ottawa Newcomer Entrepreneurs Hub, or One Hub. We're delighted to have you with us for this insightful webinar where we'll take a behind the scenes look at the journeys of three inspiring immigrant entrepreneurs who have successfully built their own food businesses here in Ottawa. As we all know, starting a business can be a challenging yet rewarding journey for many newcomers, and it offers a path to independence, creativity, financial growth, and community impact. And today we're privileged to hear from three inspiring entrepreneurs who have firsthand experience with the challenges and triumphs of running a food business, whether it's a sit down restaurant or catering or deliver or pickup services. And they will share their insights on their daily routines, the strategies that have helped them grow, and how they navigated the demands of establishing and scaling a food business in a new country. And this is a fantastic opportunity to learn from their experiences, ask questions, and gain great inspiration for your own entrepreneurial journey. So, I'll begin by asking our panelists some questions. Then we'll open the floor later for a Q&A session to give you the chance to ask your own questions. And we kindly ask everyone to mute your microphones until it's your turn to speak during the Q&A session. Thank you for your cooperation. And so let's dive in. Um, Let me introduce our first panelist who migrated from Mexico more than a decade ago. She is the co-founder and chief financial officer of Queensview Cafe, which is a sit-down restaurant in Ottawa and offers to-go and catering services as well. Queensview Cafe works with the major food delivery apps and is currently working on its own affordable pickup lunch program, which is set to launch this year. And this month, they won the 2025 Canadian Choice Award in the Catering Services in Ottawa category. Everyone, let's welcome the co-founder of Queensview Cafe, Evelyn Keri. Hi, Evelyn. Oh, you're on mute.
Of course, it was supposed to be me the
Of course.
first one. I was on mute. How is everyone? Thank you very much for having me. Again, my name is Evelyn Keri, and I came to the country about 15 years ago. I started my journey in the other side of Canada and moved to Ottawa almost 4 years ago, and enjoying finally taking that leap of faith and becoming an entrepreneur.
Thank you, Evelyn. We're excited to have you here and look forward to what you're going to share with us later. Okay, so our next panelist is a social entrepreneur who immigrated to Canada from India. In 2021, he founded Nutrition Blocs, a nonprofit that combats food security by providing wholesome meals to the youth and by promoting healthy eating habits. Currently, he has two employees who help him deliver 400 to 500 meals each day. Today, they've already served more than 500,000 meals to more than 150,000 children. So everyone, please welcome the founder and CEO of Nutrition Blocs, Abhijit Potdar. Hi, Abhijit.
Hey everyone. Thank you, Marie Chris. Just a snippet of information. So I came to Canada 7 years ago, and I was a client of WorldScale. So before the One Hub, there was the same program which Grace ran was called Entrepreneurship Connections. And I was a client. I completed the 6-week entrepreneurship program, and a week or 2 weeks after I kind of graduated from that program, I founded Nutrition Blocs. So Nutrition Blocs, in a way, is a product of the entrepreneurship program from WorldSkills. As I said, it wasn't called One Hub back then. So that's just something I wanted to share. But yeah, I am the founder of Nutrition Blocs, and we have been in operations for about 4 years. And we started in the middle of COVID. And our focus is eradicating food insecurity for all school-age children and youth in Ottawa. And currently, we run 3 flagship programs. We run a school lunch program, after-school dinner program, and then our third program is a summer nutrition program.
That's great. Thank you for being here, Abhijit or Abhi for short.
Abhi, yeah.
Abhi. Okay. All right. We look forward to hearing more from you later. And finally, our third panelist migrated from Russia 5 years ago. Last year, she founded Pyrogues, a small batch artisan bakery that's committed to creating sweet and savory Russian pies, which can be ordered online and picked up freshly made. She also sells them at local markets and events. On her own, she balances the production side and other aspects of her business. And she eventually plans to add new items to her menu when she eventually expands her business. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the owner of Pyrogues, Irina Khazanova. Hi, Irina.
Hi, Mara Chris. I'm really happy to be here. Really happy to be able to speak about my experience. Yeah, like you said, I immigrated to Canada 5 years ago from Russia, from Moscow. Um, this being baking is my second career. I started as an editor and proofreader back in Russia, but my first attempt as an entrepreneur was actually back there, home. Not quite successful. I was trying to create again a small cake business, but here almost right after I moved to Canada, I went to World Skills, and I believe I did the same course as Abhi, the entrepreneurship and English course. Before I could do anything after that, COVID struck and lockdown started. So I just decided to postpone my plans. And finally, last year, I plucked up some courage and opened my bakery, which I run at the moment on my own with just some help from family, obviously. Our family is always the first servant that we hire, probably.
Thank you, Irina. We look forward to hearing more from you later. So for starters, I know our panelists have already briefed us on their food business, but I want to ask them, is there anything else that they want to add about their food business and more so on their motivation to start it? Because like starting a business can be daunting. So I just want to know what went through your mind before starting your food business. Let's start with Evelyn.
Yeah, of course. I think all being here is a great start. That means everybody has some curiosity and the seed of becoming entrepreneurs. I guess that's where we all started. My journey started back home. With my first marriage, we ran a couple of restaurants back home. But then when I moved to the country, it took me over 10 years to finally decide to go back to it. It is hard becoming coming to Canada and not having a lot of support. Like as Irina said, once you find that support that first is family, it's way better. But in my case, I immigrated by myself. So it took me a little bit to get myself ready to it. Um, I did a lot of formal schooling in my case, but what helped me to finally take the decision was my, first of all, willing of financial independence, but also my passion for hospitality and services. Every day I will just reminiscence on how good it felt back home when you make people smile, when you know they come and eat your food and they enjoy and have a great time. I miss that a lot. So that was my the one little notch that I needed to finally start investigating what steps we needed to be putting together the business plan. And yeah, overall it was my first, I'm a foodie, passion for food, and second, I am a social person, so passion for making people smile and happy and bringing them together.
Sounds good. It seems like for any business, like passion is a huge driving force, and I'm glad that you share that with us, Evelyn. How about you, Abby?
Yeah, so as I said, I moved to Canada in end of 2017, so about 7 years ago, and I came with almost 18 years of experience, mostly in the nonprofit sector. around community food and school meals. And I had no intention whatsoever. I had no dreams, no vision of ever becoming a business owner or becoming an entrepreneur. Even when I landed here, I was looking for jobs. And it took me a while, 6 months into my job search journey, I wasn't really landing anything in the nonprofit sector. And as I said, I was a client at WorldSkills, and because I had nothing else to do, I pretty much attended every single session that WorldSkills offered, and then I was also part of a few other settlement agencies. And when I started the entrepreneurship program, it was a 6 week commitment, but I said, you know what? At least I'll learn about entrepreneurship, but more importantly, maybe I can meet other people who want to start businesses, and perhaps there is an opportunity there. So, going into the program, I did not want to become a business owner. I did not want to start something. But after or through the process, I realized, hey, this is something I could do. So those were some of the, I said the passion was never there to start a business, but this was more or less, I'm not getting a job. Perhaps I should look at entrepreneurship. But then at the same time, I wanted to work in the school food space, and Canada is one of the few countries that does not have a national school program in schools. And I thought that was an opportunity for me to get into it. So I was the only person in the cohort of 16 people that was focusing on starting a nonprofit organization versus a for-profit business, which again comes with its own set of challenges. All the meals that we serve, we're currently serving about 2,000 meals every week, about 100,000 meals a year. All our meals are served at no cost to the children and the youth. And so fundraising is a big part of what we do. We do not have a product to sell. And so again, starting a business where your clients are not going to pay for your services, and I did not have the grant writing skills. As I said, I had never been a business owner ever in my life, never had the aspirations to be one. And so starting off an organization, a nonprofit organization, not having any idea how to register a nonprofit, what does it mean to start a nonprofit or a business. So everything was learning from scratch. And I think WorldSkills was a big part. The 6 week program that I was part of helped me understand, or at least laid the foundation for the work or the vision that I had. So and then from that point onwards, it was, and again, we started our operation in the middle of COVID when most food businesses were either closed because of COVID or running out of business. For whatever different reasons, food businesses were struggling. And it was the same story within the nonprofit or the charity sector. Many of the food programs were closing. And we saw that as an opportunity because people were still hungry. And we said, okay, maybe that's an opportunity for us to start operations. And that's what we did. We started in the middle of COVID.
That's interesting, Abby. It's also interesting to learn that entrepreneurship wasn't even your original plan, and
No.
it's nice to know and inspiring to know that if people are just open to possibilities, then they'll eventually find their niche. Thank you. Okay. How about you, Irina?
I was actually listening to Evelyn and Abby, finding several similarities. First of all, like Abby, I had no plans of becoming an entrepreneur. Having had my fair share of negative experience back in Moscow, I decided that enough is enough, and I just wanted to stay in food industry, but just work for somebody else because I love making food. Like Evelyn, I just love seeing people happy, and I think that food is one of the easiest sources of happiness. And the most reliable sort of happiness, I would say. So I just originally started as a baker in one of the Ottawa's artisanal bakeries. Artisan, unsure if anybody here heard of it, but it's one of the most prominent, I would say, bakeries in Ottawa. Really, really admirable concept of baking artisanal products on a larger scale. And just at some point, I realized that I want to bring something else to the market, that there are still niches unfilled that I want to fill with my products. So mainly it was just the desire to make something else. And the only way to do that was to open my own company. So yes, that's where I was. That was my inspiration mainly.
That's great, Irina. It's interesting to know that you started as a baker and employer, and then you turned it into self-employment.
Mm.
So the really common thread with you guys as well, just being creative and with what drives you passionately, and then take it from there. But Irina, I'm assuming that, when you started your food business, that you encountered challenges, and would like to know what were those and how you managed to address them.
So probably the first challenge that I encountered was actually choosing the product that I wanted to bring to the market. Being a pastry girl by training, I was focusing more on more sophisticated pastries, eclairs, macarons, something like that, more elegant. And originally my idea was to open an eclair place, focusing only on that type of pastry, and maybe adding something else as I go along. And that was the idea that I worked on during the entrepreneurship course in WorldSkills. But then there were a couple of occasions, 2 or 3 maybe, where people did potluck, and my partner and I, we just brought our pies, traditional Russian pies, something that we are so used to seeing at every corner back in Moscow. And we didn't even think anything of it. We just made something for people to eat, and we brought them, and people were just they were overwhelmed. They were so impressed, and they kept coming and saying how amazing those pies were. So at that point, something clicked, and I thought, you know what? Eclairs can wait. All these tiny, dainty things can wait, maybe indefinitely. I just want to do what I see people admiring and appreciating. But that also meant that I already had some very positive feedback, which was amazing. I didn't expect to have it so early, even before I even thought about having a company opening a bakery. But yeah, I was lucky in this respect. And also after that, probably one of the biggest challenges was definitely searching for a place. I realized that a commercial kitchen that you can rent is a huge, huge problem in Ottawa. I don't think many people have enough funding from the get-go to open their own place. So I definitely wasn't one of the luckiest ones to have a kitchen with a mixer and an oven, and because I wanted to do everything by the law and not just operate from my own tiny home kitchen. So yeah, I had to look for some time to just find a small place in a rented kitchen, in a working restaurant kitchen, anywhere really. So yeah, that was a big problem for me for quite a while.
It's interesting because the way that you told your story, like one way to address challenges is to be able to adjust and be flexible and make do with what you have. If you don't
Mhm.
have funds to get your own place to rent it, then like what you've said, do it in your home.
Yes, that's true. I know that some people, actually many people, start exactly this way. I had one huge challenge if I wanted to open anything from home, 3 cats, namely. So probably feeding people pies with cat hair in it was not an option. So yeah, I was forced to keep looking outside of my own home.
Okay. And I just want to add as well, when you mentioned earlier about getting good feedback during
Mm.
potlucks, it's funny because I just mentioned to my coworkers earlier, if they get good feedbacks with the food that they bring on during potlucks, maybe they should be
Mhm.
food entrepreneurs. See, you already have the
That's
talent.
exactly right.
You already have
That's
the
right.
talent, you have the skill, why not monetize it? Because you kind of guarantee that people will avail of your product.
Yeah, that's at least you have that, and that's a good starting point for sure.
Thank you, Irina. So, next I want to ask Evelyn, what strategies did you use to grow your food business? You have it all. You have the sit-down restaurant, and you do catering, and people can do takeout as well, and then they can avail of your service by deliver as well. So, what did you do?
Well, continuing with the conversation challenges, as Irina said, commercial kitchens are something not easy to attain. So once you have it, you need to make the most of it. Streamlining revenues, diversifying them as well. So what we total is, first of all, I am a firm believer of building a strong brand and reputation. I believe that the business priority should be not just bringing clients, but making them stay, coming back. Repetitive clients is the should be the main goal. Why will I want somebody to only come once in their life? That is not business for me. So building a strong brand, it was our main priority. Um, Expanding that, leveraging our networking and partnerships. Once you get your foot on the door with somebody, just give them the best quality they can possibly get. So they again come back over and over again. Going back to diversifying revenues, you may come to my place one to have breakfast, but I should let you know that you also can come and celebrate your birthday on a Saturday afternoon. So how we see our clients is everybody who I cross paths by, it's my client. Everybody it's at some point during the day, everybody celebrates something several times during the year. So that's those possibilities are endless. So with that, strategic marketing and word of mouth has been the pillar of our work. We started with small networking events, and from there people just started spreading the word. If you provide good quality and great prices, that is it. Let the work speak for itself. We obviously use a lot of our social media outlets, but I believe that and the word of mouth and quality services is our prioritizing tool. Obviously, leverage my background and expertise. As I said, back home, I had a lot of years of experience in all businesses, but mostly in sitting down restaurants and event planning. So now finding the space that allow me to do both and leverage the roof that we were able to secure, it has been amazing.
It's interesting how you give customers always a reason to come back.
Yeah.
And yeah. Okay. And I want to ask Abby, when you first started, because started like what, 4 years ago, and I want to know what your typical day was like at the beginning, and then how is it now, 4 years down the line?
Right. So, yeah, I mean, I registered Nutrition Blogs in 2018. So we registered about 6.5 years ago, but we became operationals 2 years later because, that's when I realized when I started with the nonprofit. And again, as I said, it was something that wasn't in the cards, but I did it. but I still had a family to feed. And so thankfully, around the same time that I registered this, I got a job in the nonprofit sector, because one thing I realized is to establish an organization, a nonprofit, you have to have connections in the sector. Because one of the challenges, we were not a for-profit business. We did not have a product to sell to customers. So the intention wasn't to create a food product that we could go out there and sell, whether it's through a store or whether it's through a catering. We knew very clearly that our business model was not going to be B2C, but rather a B2B, so business to business. And in order for that to happen, I needed credentials, within the sector. I needed, organizations in the sector to trust what we do, because I was a complete, I was a newcomer. Nobody knew me. Nobody knew my background. So long story short, I got a job in the sector, in the nonprofit world. And that's where, for the next 2 years, I build my connections within the nonprofit, within the nonprofit sector. Marie-Chris, I don't know whether you were there when One Hub was at the Rideau Hub. I don't know whether you joined the team back then, but One Hub used to be at the Rideau Community Hub. This was the old Rideau High School, and my first job in Canada was converting that closed high school into a nonprofit community hub. And in that process, I met with 200 different nonprofits and charities. And then, I brought in about 30 clients, including World Scales. Both the One Hub and the ENW program were started at the hub. And I ran the project. I ran that for about 4 years. And when COVID hit, this was second year into my job, when COVID hit, and that's when I started to realize that there's a lot of these nonprofit organizations or charities deal with families that are struggling with food. So when we decided that Nutrition Blocks was going to be operational, I used my connections in that sector. So how does it relate to a for-profit business? As I said, it starts with a need analysis, whether you're in a for-profit business or a non-profit business. You have to define yourself, whether your product or your service, and you have to understand the need. Like, as I said, we started in the middle of COVID because we recognized that there was a gap in the system where families or individuals were struggling with food, and there were not many service providers filling that gap. So similarly, if you have a business idea, whether it's food or whether it's a catering service, you have to understand what the need is, who your competitors are, but really, what are you going to do different than everybody else out there? And that is what, and then again, as I said, some of these were learning things through the first 2 years of frustration, where even though we had a registered organization, but it wasn't really going anywhere because I was new. I did not take the time to kind of understand the market. Just because you have a business idea or just because you open a business doesn't mean that people are going to flock to your business. There needs to be something, you need to address a need. So I hope that answers your question. And another challenge that we had with Nutrition Blocks is, again, this whole idea of selling something or creating a service where your end user is not going to pay for it, right? And that's how the nonprofit world works. So you still needed to have a budget. You still needed to have a revenue model. That means somebody else needs to pay for those services. So again, it took me time to understand where those funding pockets are, who those philanthropist organizations were or funding organizations were. How do you build relationship with those organizations? Right now, one of our major funders is the city of Ottawa, right? everybody in the city wants to do work with the city of Ottawa. So it's not that they have a business office and you walk in there and say, hey, I want to work with you, right? You have to build your relationship. So I think needs analysis, gap analysis, and relationship building are key to starting any business, including a nonprofit or a social enterprise. So
Thank you, Abby. I totally agree. I always tell the clients, when they share their business ideas, I tell them to answer the question, what need can your service can your offering address, and what will set you apart? Because just because you're probably not the first one who have thought of your idea, so what sets you apart from your competitors that would give the clients a reason to choose you instead of the others?
absolutely, absolutely. And again, if I can just quickly add to the folks that are here, at least in the nonprofit world, and maybe it's true in the for-profit world, I always ask three questions. What is the problem you're trying to solve? What is the current solution? Are there any service providers that are solving the problem? How is your solution different than those solutions? And what happens if the problem is not solved? Right? So if you use if you use that lens, and if you are able to answer those four questions, I think you can maybe fine tune your business idea or your current business.
Thank you, Abby. Also, I want to highlight that, when you mention networking, it's universally helpful, not only for job hunters, but even in the entrepreneurship world. It's really, really important. Thank you. Okay, so I'd like to know, I'd like to ask Irina this question. Do you plan to keep on growing your food business? And if so, like, how do you plan to do it?
Most definitely. I'm hoping to get bigger and cover more in the field. My plan at the moment is to first of all start working with wholesalers. In my plans, there are several stores, both in Ottawa and outside. And also, I will definitely try to cover as many farmers markets in the Ottawa region as I can, because I realized during the first few months of my operations that the public who goes there are most likely my clients, because they are ready to spend a little bit more on products of a higher quality, and B, they are most likely foodies, and they are really interested in trying new things, in experiencing new flavors. And that's essentially what my product is about. Because for now, my bakery is the only company in town offering this type of product. I am not entirely sure why, because the Russian community is definitely larger than just me, and there are most definitely bakers out there. But it just so happened that I am the only one trying to reach Canadians with my product. So I have a big advantage of being unique. And definitely I'm going to use that as much as possible. So yeah, two lines of work here, markets and events, and wholesalers, cafes, stores, those type of companies.
Thank you, Rina. Yeah, you're right. Because the people who go to the farmers markets are number
Mm,
one, they have the money to spend. Number two,
mm,
they're willing to try new things. Like me, I'm like that. And
exactly.
they're foodies. Like they want to eat and try something new and try some high quality food. That's
Yeah,
why they're there.
absolutely.
Thank you. So Evelyn, what would you say as are the pros and cons of being the food business? Again, because you have this restaurant, you do catering, and you've been in the industry for a while. Like, what's your take on the pros and cons of the food industry?
Yeah, of course. Let's start with the ugly. We all know that running your own business, not just in the food industry, you need to be willing to sacrifice a little at the beginning, long hours, a lot of shifts, um, high pressure, and most specifically in the food business, we know that there are high operating costs and very volatile. And because of the competitiveness, we do have team profit margin. So the game needs to be volume. The the problem here is how can we get into enough volume that is it's enough to wait out the long shifts and the long nights. Also, the labor market. This was a very different challenge that I learn as I go in the Canadian labor market. Staffing challenges, a lot of rotation, instability. Again, it is a very competitive market, and the customers have high expectations. So how do you balance keeping a customer happy, giving them the best experience they can be while maintaining your price competitive? Also, many external factors, like again, the price of our inputs are very volatile. So how can we manage our pricing that cannot be adjusted every week, but the tomatoes today can cost $16 and tomorrow can cost 52. So how can we deal with those that volatility? But there is a lot of pros too. There is a big community. um, Everybody missed the conversation we had at the beginning, but as soon as the panelists came in, we started recognizing faces. Like, it is a very tight community, and I love that we support each other. I remember when I met Irina, I was in a pop up, and she was like, "I'm gonna have my first pop up. Tell me everything." So I sat with her for like 5 minutes, and I gave her, "Okay, this is my experience." I think we all have been through a lot, so we support each other as much as we can. Also, the opportunity to create and innovate. When I started the business, I honestly thought it would be only the cafe, but in the middle of the challenges, you have to think on your feet. What else can I do? How can we grow? So that is something that I really like a lot. It makes you think. It makes you to be very creative. Also, because of that creativity and innovation opportunities, we discover new markets. As Irina was saying, she started with an idea, but then she discovered that there is an opportunity for this niche thing, and let's explore it. So that's a pro that I like very much about the industry. And again, my passion, the direct customer interaction and feedback. I love also, B2B is a big part of our business. My passion is the B2C. Just 2 weeks ago, we had a birthday party going on at the cafe 2 Saturdays ago, and it was for an 80th birthday for a lady that has battled cancer 6 times. Like, how can you not celebrate that? The party was amazing. Everybody was so happy. They have been friends for 65 years. It was lit. At that moment when everybody was so happy that we were celebrating her 80th birthday, I said, "Yeah, this is it. This is what I do. It. This is my passion."
Thank you, Evelyn. I can vouch for her creativity because I was at an event the other night, and I had the taco salad that was served in a funnel wrap like paper, and it was really interesting. I've never seen it like that. And I can vouch as well for the helpfulness of everyone. When I first asked Evelyn and Irina in person about this webinar, they immediately said yes. And even Abby via email, he immediately said yes. You can really see how how food entrepreneurs are willing to help everyone and how social they are. And I just want to mention as well that I guess despite the cons, it still boils down to your passion, because no matter how many cons you have, it's your passion that keeps you driving. Like just like what the Evelyn said. Thank you. Um, and I guess for my final question for the panelists, it's for Abby. Um, how can someone enter in the food industry? Like, what would be your advice to to our audience here who are thinking of starting a food business, or
Yeah.
even if they're still at the early stages of developing their
Oh,
business?
absolutely. I think the first things in the last question that I said, ask yourself the question, yes, you have a passion for this, but how is your product or how is your service going to be different than your competitors? What problem are you trying to solve, or what gap are you trying to address? I think those are very important questions, because those are not inwards, those are outwards, those are your client, right? Your passion might be internal, but you're depending on the external world to kind of realize your dream. So I think it's very important to ask yourself those questions. I guess it's a cliche that about 80 or 85% of all food businesses shut down within the first year, and I think you have to realize that, right? That, there are a lot of good people, a lot of good ideas out there, and people start a business, but within a year, 85% of them shut down, right? For whatever reason, because they fail to understand their market, they fail to understand the demand, they overestimate what their revenues are going to be, they overestimate or underestimate their competitors. So there is a lot of variables in there. Also, food business is one of those businesses where the entry barrier tends to be very low, right? You don't really need a formal education to start this business. In terms of a technical knowledge, you don't have to be, you don't have to be a chef or a certified chef, right? Anyone can say, hey, I'm good at cooking, I can cook a certain kind of food, and I'm going to start a business, right? So you have to kind of evaluate your passion versus the realities of starting a business. So I think having a good business coach helps. Now, those are all true with any business. Now, if you're looking at a social enterprise, which could be a for-profit or a non-profit organization, in our case, we chose that our enterprise is going to be a nonprofit organization. There are then, some other set of challenges in how are you going to generate those revenues, right? How do you build credibility? Because even in the nonprofit sector, there are about 200 organizations right now in Ottawa that provide different food programs. Most of them, or at least half of them, are centered around a food bank. But there are a lot of organizations, there are social enterprises, food-based social enterprises that are doing catering, that are running cafes. These are registered as a nonprofit or a for-profit business, but they mostly work in the charity sector, right? So again, understanding that market, and if any of you, the participants here, is interested to know more about the social enterprise world, you could be a for-profit business, but absolutely can be like Evelyn and I, we met a few weeks ago, or maybe a month ago, when I went to her cafe, looking at, if we could collaborate, because we're always looking for food partners. And Evelyn and I guess her business partner, we had a great meeting about, could Queensview Cafe, could they be one of our food partners in the future, right? So you always have to be out there networking, looking for opportunities for growth. So that's my a long answer for, I guess, a short question.
Thank you so much for your generous answer, Abby. Okay, so that wraps up my questions. We're now in the Q&A session where everyone, the audience can directly ask the panelists. I'm seeing on the chat that Zubair has a question, would you like to ask it verbally? Zubair?
Yeah, sure. So it was actually for Irina. She was talking about renting a commercial kitchen. So I wanted to know how much does it cost in Ottawa to rent a commercial kitchen, and how does the pricing model work? Is it like on a daily basis, or like you have to book a certain amount of hours there? How does it really work?
It depends. The shortest answer always is it depends. The kitchen that I ended up renting at first is in Kanata, and their pricing model is really simple. You pay by the hour as the price depends on the time of day where you want your hours to be. Obviously, the night is the cheapest, around $18 or $20 per hour, and the prime time during the day, say from 10 a.m. to about 5 p.m. is definitely the most expensive. And also, if you want to rent the kitchen for more than, I believe, 30 hours per week, you also have a better rate. So they obviously are more interested in renting their space to a more stable client. But that's just one option. I know that there are other kitchens that prefer renting and getting their pay in just one lump. For instance, there's a kitchen in Vanier, I believe. They are asking for just one sum. I believe it's 3,000 a month, and you get your space for 24/7. You can come in at any point, do whatever you like, but definitely this type of rental is for the companies who already have many clients and who will be able to utilize the kitchen to its full potential, because this is a very considerable sum. So that's the average price in the market. Obviously, there are actually not average, probably the lowest, but there's a huge room for growth in terms of making this price higher. There are $30 per hour, $38 per hour. So you really need to look properly, ask all the community kitchens, just ask around. But those are the numbers that I personally heard and that I had to accept.
Okay, one follow-up question. So do you need to rent a commercial kitchen? Is it a requirement, or is it because it's advantageous for you to use a commercial kitchen rather than your home kitchen?
That's a very good question. I'm pretty sure that some smaller markets, some just events that happen once every half a year or maybe once a year, they probably will not require their participants to have all the licenses. But otherwise, all the larger events and definitely all the farmers markets in and around Ottawa, they ask their food vendors to provide insurance certificates and all the papers that an established food business needs. So commercial kitchen, not having a commercial kitchen is just out of the question. It's just you are not allowed to make your food and sell your food from a home kitchen unless you are a farmer.
Okay. Thank you, Irina, for sharing.
No worries.
Thank you, Irina, and thank you, Zubair, for the question. Up next is Wadi.
Hi, everyone. Thanks a lot for your input. Really valuable. I also have a question related to the commercial kitchens. Like, if you can explain a bit more, how does it work? Because it felt at least that you've had some issues. You know, like you mentioned it, it's as if it was unfortunate to work with a commercial kitchen. Is it because of like booking times, or like how can you secure, you know, like the way I think about it is that if I want to venture into a business, I want to make sure that I have an X number of time, at least 1 year plus or 3 years, where I'm sure that I can produce the food that I want. So how can I guarantee that I'm gonna get that, or not having anyone else come and take my slot? I don't know if you know what I mean. Like, it's not
Yeah,
really
yeah,
clear to me how their model works.
yeah. So the kitchen that I ended up choosing, the one in Kanata, it's obviously no secret. It's called Harvest Kitchen or Harvest Commercial Kitchen. They have a reasonably large space where they can fit several food projects at any given moment, which is convenient on the one side, but not really convenient some days when all 7 or I don't know 5 or 10 projects need to do something all at the same time. It just adds to the general chaos of the space. They provide all the larger equipment. They have ovens, they have stoves, they have just regular working tables. They also have some utensils there, but as usually happens with spaces that nobody really owns and nobody really cares about, they definitely struggle to a point with keeping the place clean and sanitized, just because Food Project A washed all their own utensils, all the tables, and left. But the Project B comes in and realizes that Project A used some of the bowls and pans and left them sort of clean, but sort of not. And the sink is still disgusting. So that can be an issue, not a large one, but when you need to use your kitchen to its full potential and not have, you just don't want to struggle with extra cleaning. You don't want to bump into people who run around the kitchen doing their own thing, or maybe not being able to work out the process. It just you end up more tired and just exhausted from having to deal with all this, apart from your own job, your own production. But there are also kitchens that just rent a space to a company, which is better. But I definitely heard darker stories about people settling in and starting to use the whole space, making it their home in a way, and then the owner comes in, says that another project offered a better price, and the first project can just pack their things and go. I'll be honest, I'm not 100% sure how to deal with that, other than just call out these landlords who just don't want to follow the rules, I guess, and break the contracts in this way. I think if the community works together, one day we'll have only the proper behavior, and will end up benefiting from extra information.
Thank you, Irina.
Thank you, Irina.
Rodrigo has some question in the chat. Do you want to ask it yourself, or do you want me to read it? I guess I'll just read it. Okay. So the question is, besides business matters, as we know, food is also a major topic, especially from a cultural perspective. At some point, does anyone here need to explain the food you sell or handle to a Canadian audience? And how do you usually manage this kind of demand? Who wants to answer that?
I can take that one. With the catering business, we have some specialties. We specialize. We have a special menu with Mexican food and a special menu with Caribbean food. Very very Mexican and very very Caribbean. So sometimes it is hard to sell it. I know we have amazing food and people are very used to commercial Mexican food. When I want people to actually try traditional Mexican food. So what I have found is very efficient is finding something that is more common and explain it that way. Like we do gorditas. What is a gordita? Well, the onion cakes from Chinese food are more popular than gorditas. So what those are the kind of relationships that I have to find for my very traditional food. So I expect imagine it's onion cake without the onion. That's exactly the same. Okay, I get it. Okay, now imagine that I open the onion cake and I fill it up with whatever meat and I give them the meat options. That is a gordita. What is atama? Okay, there are several cultures in the Mediterranean culture that has something very similar. So you also have to analyze who you are dealing with, like study your client so you can prepare. I have several conversations with people over the phone when there are big caterings, and obviously you have to prepare for those calls. What is their heritage? What will they be familiar with? Um, I just had a call couple of days ago, actually 2 days ago, and I really wanna put out in the market a Mexican yellow. It is more common to hear tres leches. Tres leches is a more common dessert for the Mexican culture, the commercial things that you see in Ottawa. That is common. Okay, I understand that. This is kind of similar, but imagine that a yellow and a tres leches had a baby. That is the dessert that I want to sell. And you see, I got you to smile, I got you engaged. You are already imagining how it looks like. Because there is nobody right now doing it in Ottawa, and I know it's delicious, it is fun, it looks beautiful. I just want people to try it. So how can I find them the way for them to imagine what the product looks like? I can show them a picture, of course, but how is it gonna taste like? This specific dessert from its looks, you don't know how it tastes like because it looks like milk with confetti inside. Like what is that? So that is a strategy that has worked a lot, like big time for me. I actually get people, I just need people to try them once. Again, I focus on if they give me a chance, if they try my dessert once, they will come back for it. The rest is history.
Can I add my 2 cents? As someone who usually sells their product in the markets, I definitely find that's the easiest way for me to um, explain to my customers what I'm trying to sell them is to just let them try. So samples is the best decision, the best option for me, and it definitely helps. I lose some part of the product, but I also gain sales from that. So if you are planning something that you're going to sell at the market, maybe look into that.
Abby, you want to add something?
Yeah, so again, agree with Evelyn and Irina. So in our case, because the clients are not coming to our location, we're sending the meals, like, our after school programs, we're sending meals to about 15 different sites, and these are all low income communities. And one of the things that's kind of common is the majority of them are racialized minority, refugees, newcomers to Canada, and they come from all across the world, right? And so, part of understanding your client is there's a lot of families or children that need halal food. And there's a lot of anxiety if the food is not halal, then kids that are hungry or family that need that support will then refuse to participate in the program. So one of the things that we did early on when we started is instead of having our clients have that anxiety, we decided that all our meals that we serve in the community, every single meal of them is going to be a halal meal. So right now, all our meals are halal, and understanding the diversity or the multiculturalism of the clients or our order, all our meals are multicultural in nature. So we include recipes from all across. We have Indian, African, Latin, Mediterranean, you name it. And then we also have the traditional Canadian food, if you will. Like, kids love pastas, they like lasagna, they like shepherd's pie. So what we do is we make sure that our meals are multicultural, diverse, but also nutrition is a big component of our meals. So we follow the Canada Food Guide. So we make sure not only our food, the meals that we serve are nutritious, are delicious, and diverse, but they're also nutritious. That means they offer the right amount of protein, grain, and vegetables are included in those meals. So as I said, it all boils down to understanding the need of your clients.
Thank you so much, Abby. I typed in the chat the website of the food business of our panelists. So in case you want to check out their business or contact them, you can check out their websites. And folks, it's been a really, really great discussion today. I thank our panelists again, Irina, Evelyn, Abby, my colleague Kent, and our audience. And on behalf of One Hub, we thank you everyone for your time and have a good day.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
And
Thanks,
again, if
everyone.
I drop my email in the note or Marie Chris, I'm happy if anyone wants to reach out, be more than happy to have a one-on-one conversation.
Thank you. Have a good day, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.